Hi there, this is Chris from MoneyHub, and this video looks at low-income loans. So the purpose is really just to explain, if you're a low-income earner, what's available to you, what are the pros and cons of each option, in general things to know just to kind of avoid getting trapped into some nasty kind of loan, which is many of them around. We see them all day long in our research. We just want to tell people exactly what's out there and what they need to know, and hopefully lead to some better decisions and some traps avoided. So just as a background here, we're saying please don't rush in to read our guide, which I'll link to down below on the video. That's because there's lots of people willing to offer you money, but the problem is repaying it becomes very expensive very quickly for a very long time. So you may want to borrow $500, $1,000, $2,000, but then you'll be charged some interest rate that's not very nice. You'll also be charged some fees in most cases, and then you just have to repay that over and over for weeks and weeks and weeks, or months, and sometimes years. So just generally, please take things very slowly. We always suggest contacting Work and Income to see if you qualify for Hardship Assistance. We know that dealing with work and income isn't always pleasant. That's an understatement. But we do want to just say that the option is always there, and just talking to your case manager or your caseworker just about your needs, and why you need the money. That's a great place to start before you go down, the path of actually taking out loans or more loans on top of other loans that you already have. So what I'm going to do is just talk about some frequently asked questions, go through the loan options that are available if you're a low income earner, and then just kind of sum up what the options are and some things to sort of consider before you go off and make a decision. What I would suggest is that you watch our video here, which is avoiding payday loans, same-day loans, and cash advances. They're pretty much all the same type of loan. Just to get more familiar, we've also got a guide which I've linked to below as well, and you can just have a read through there on payday loans and just see some of the cons and why it does sound good, sometimes to get this quick money, but there are a lot of downsides to them. So just as a summary here, many people on low incomes do consider payday loans. We know that now it's quite helpful for the government to change the law so that the maximum you can repay back is 100% of the loan. That means that if you borrow $500, and you take that out for 6 months, then the maximum you can repay is $1,000. So even if the interest rate's really high, the maximum you'll be charged is $500 for a $500 loan, or $200 for a $200 loan. Still, that's lots of money, and that's why there's lots of options out there which are not payday loans. Many lenders ask for security, so that's something to be aware of. If you are going to take out some sort of personal loan or some sort of guarantor loan, then you'll need to get like a guarantor. We'll talk about that below. But the good thing is there are Salvation Army loans available and a whole bunch of other social enterprises, and there are people wanting to help you. That's really, really important. You're not here by yourself. We all live in New Zealand. There are options available. Payday loans, as I keep saying, not probably best avoided. Truck loans being the same thing. But yeah, something just to watch out for, with the options available. So first of all, let's just go through some frequently asked questions. So first one is here: can I get a loan if I'm a low income earner? The answer is a low income earner. The answer is yes, you can, but as a low income earner, you won't be offered usually the low interest rates. Sometimes you'll see loans from like 6%, 8%, 10%. The problem is those are for people with very good credit, with regular income. That's quite high, but with low income, you are, for rightly or wrongly, seen as a higher risk, which is kind of unfair. That means that you will be charged a higher amount of interest. It does depend, on the lender, and it depends on how much you're borrowing, but that's generally how things work. And then some people ask us, well, there's lots of companies offering these fast approval loans for low income earners. What are they? Should I trust them? What should I do? The answer really is look at what's being charged. Look at really what the interest rate is and what the fees are. And from that, you'll be able to kind of have some sort of understanding, make sure you compare, the full cost of the loan with the full cost of the loan of another lender. For example, what I mean by that is, if you're offered, a loan which is like 30%, and then you're offered a loan for 25%, the 25% loan sounds cheaper, but what are the fees? Are there like upfront fees, monthly fees, ongoing fees that you have to kind of take into account, or is there just like no fee at all? So make sure that any company that you deal with, make sure that they put all of the fees in, and they show you a repayment schedule, because then you'll know how much you have to repay, and then you can compare the total cost of the borrowing to loans like with other providers that you've contacted. So knowing that, how much can you borrow as a low income earner really depends. Usually in the payday loan sense, it's around $500. But if you are a low earner with spare money, or not spare money, but like, the ability to make reasonable repayments, then you can probably borrow slightly more. But it really comes down to your individual situation. So we can't give a number. It's going to come down to your application process. Now, as we've said, there are two major ways to like avoid loans altogether. The first is talking to Work and Income and seeing what they can do. And then the second option is, work with a budget advisor. So we've linked down below to Money Talks, and Money Talks is a very helpful site, which I'll just sort of summarize here. And you can find a financial mentor. You can see that the whole country is covered. So, there's options there for like everyone in all locations. And what they do is they want to help people who have financial issues or just a bit low in income, and they want to sort of put them on a financial plan. And it really is, it's a free service. It's like, there's only positive stories. I've met a whole bunch of budget advisors in my time, and it would be the first place I would go, because they are really nice. There's no judgment, like this is what they do, and they just want to help you. So I strongly suggest considering budget advisors, even if you do end up taking a loan with somebody else, or with a lender. Please just do consider the Money Talks website, and contact somebody, because there is a lot of upside for doing so, and like you'll never be worse off for contacting and working with a budget advisor. So without further ado here, let's go into the options for low income earners. First of all, as I said, number one, hardship assistance, or some sort of urgent cost support from Work and Income. You'll need to contact their your case manager or your case worker there. So that's something that you'll need to do, and just sort of work that process out. But just talk about why you need the money, why it would be useful for them to be able to give you it, rather than you go and take money from somebody else, and work through the process with them, see how far you can get. We know that, as I previously said, no one loves to work with Work and Income or deal with them. I know it can be a lot of pushback and some stress, but certainly it's going to be less stressful if you can get the loan than taking out a loan where you need to have repayments and make sacrifices later on. Second to that, another option for low income lenders is payday lending. So payday loans, we see these as very high risk and a high cost option. So please be aware that when you see them on TV, you see them online, the ads follow you around the internet. You see them on buses, you just see them everywhere. Please be very, very careful, because we know that the interest rates and the fees can be very, very high. And whilst it sounds great to get that $500, getting it repaid is a whole different story. And we just don't want to see more people with payday loans to pay back. That's the last thing that we want to see. We've got a very good summary here, and we've also got a very good guide as well. So there's a video as well as a guide, so have a look at those if you are thinking about a payday loan, because it probably will put you off it. Microfinance loans. So there's two or three large organizations. The Salvation Army will help. They run a finance scheme that looks at giving low interest loans or no interest loans. So does the Good Shepherd. These are all just worth contacting, and so does the Tangata Microfinance Trust. So these are for people who really want to get out of debt and need a loan for urgent costs, and these guys will actually help you. So definitely worth reaching out to. They don't get enough credit for the good work that they do, and certainly there's enough resources there to go around. So I strongly suggest contacting them and seeing if they can help you, because they are very nice people, all of three of them. I've sort of worked with at least two of them, in the past, and sort of just, getting information and just meeting them, as part of the course of MoneyHub, and, nothing but positive things to say. So while the demand is huge, you better just to get in the system there and register with them and see what will happen. Another option is for a low-income loans is secured and guarantor loans. These are, I'm going to say these are medium risk, just because asking a guarantor can be problematic. So be aware that you're going to have to ask somebody to say, well, if I can't repay this loan, it's going to be you that repays it. That can be quite problematic for personal relationships or family relationships. And also secured loans, with being a low income earner, the interest rate can be a lot higher than you can be comfortable with. So as I say, don't rush into it. Just always think about things very carefully before you sign up. Another people that we tend to like, because they are low interest relative to payday lenders, and also lower fees, as credit unions. We know that, for example, First Credit Union doesn't charge fees, and these guys, they work with people side by side, and what happens is people go and meet with them and sit down, have a conversation, see what your needs are, and if they can help and you meet their lending criteria, then they will help you. So do keep in mind that credit unions can definitely help. Further on from this, talking to your bank, there's no harm done by being upfront with your bank, saying, hey, can I look at possibly getting a larger overdraft or an overdraft set up, because that's going to be cheaper than taking out some sort of payday loan or some sort of personal loan. So that's definitely worth a chat with the online banking app, or even a phone call, or going to visit in branch. Branches are kind of increasingly less helpful, if I'm to be honest, but you can do a lot online, or just certainly register in the system. Someone will call you back. So worth noting there. Credit cards, if you are a low income earner and you have one, then there may be an option there to extend the limit or extend what you can borrow. That's good. That also is going to be cheaper, most likely, than any other type of standalone or new loan. You may pay 20-25% interest, but of course, while we don't advocate people take out new debt, certainly it is an option for trying to minimizing the costs of debt. So yeah, have a look at the options there. Talk to any credit card provider that you have, or any bank. And I think this is just a summary of talking to your bank. Kind of 6 and 7 are the same sort of things. Just be upfront. Say that you'd like a loan. You are a low income earner, but you are an income earner, so you do have money regularly coming in, and then they can work backwards from there. Under the new credit kind of assessment framework, it's a little bit more tricky, but at the same time, if you plead a good case and you have the evidence to show that you are responsible and will repay it, then they should be able to help, or at least sort of point you in the right direction. KiwiSaver is another thing that a lot of people ask us about. Can I withdraw my KiwiSaver? What can I use it for? The question is, well, yes, you can withdraw it in principle, but you have to go through a hardship application. We've linked to a full guide there about how to do a hardship application. The important thing is that it's got to be your needs for a hardship application have to be that you can't meet your minimum living expenses, which means basic food and grocery items and accommodation costs. That's very, very clear. You can't take it out to buy a car. You can't take it out to buy something that's not a minimum living expense. So if this does apply to you, the best thing is to get into contact your KiwiSaver provider, see if they can help by helping you with the application. Otherwise you have to do it, which is quite it's quite a large form, to say the least. But then if you do think that you can get the money or need some of it, then we would say that there's no harm in actually applying. This isn't financial advice. It's more to say that they will make the assessment based on the evidence that you give, and if they think that you can't meet the minimum living expenses test, then they will pay out some or all of your KiwiSaver money. So so keep that in mind. It does take some time to process. It's not going to be a file the form on a Monday and get the money on a Tuesday. It does take several weeks from what we've heard, and it is quite a back and forth process in some cases. So just be aware that KiwiSaver is certainly an option, but not like a foolproof option. Just because the money's there sitting in your KiwiSaver, it does not mean that it's available to draw down if you desperately need some money. Finally, borrowing from friends and family. We see this as a sort of not the best way to do things, but it could work for you depending on your family situation. So we've got a guide there. It's about lending money to friends and family from a lender's perspective, not so much the borrower, but worth checking out just to see if you can use some of the information there to perhaps persuade someone from your family to lend money to you, saying that you'll be very responsible, setting up schedules of repayments and just talking about what they would need to be able to be comfortable in sort of lending you some money. Happens all day long. I've been there myself, but making sure that you can repay it is certainly something which is going to be the most important thing when it comes to people saying yes or no, whether or not they'll help you. Finally, door sellers and trucks. We just are very, very negative on those, and we think they're best avoided. They do target a lot of low-income people, and we just think I would love to see them banned in the country. Would absolutely love to see the legislation come in there. Sadly, it hasn't yet, but things can change at any time. So that's just a summary there. Please try and stay away from them, because they promise things, but there's a whole bunch of problems trying to repay it, or all sorts of things. Once you invite them in to your home, things can be very problematic. So just be very, very careful there. Finally, please, as we said, don't rush into a decision. If you have any questions at all, please list them below. We're very responsive to YouTube comments. We like to make sure that we've got the most comprehensive information out there, and this helps us to constantly update our guides as well. So if you do have any queries, comments, or anything, please list them below. You'll find more useful links in our summary below this video. So please have a read through that, and let us know if you have any questions as well. Thanks.